Welcome into Just Another Podcast, hosted by yours truly, Just Another Chris. And boy, oh boy, do we have a special uber duper, super duper even episode for you today. Yes, this is the long awaited episode. And that is with Ben from In an Instant. That's right. I sit down with Ben and we have a lovely conversation about his background with instant photography, how he got started, why he does it, even a butt probing Polaroid camera. Yeah. And we talk about the upcoming event, Poon New York City. Sorry, I've been watching a lot of What We Do in the Shadows, and that was my Laszlo impression. But yes, we're talking about Polygon in NYC and a few other things. So sit on back and enjoy episode 19 of Just Another Podcast. Ben, what the heck is going on, man? This is like the collab of a lifetime, because that's what everyone's told me in the comments of when's Ben coming on? When's Ben? When are you interviewing Ben? Well, here he is. Here's Ben in the flesh. How's it going?
I got this is called a pocket dab, where you pull it out of your pocket. Boom.
Ooh, a pocket dab. I haven't heard that one before.
We're doing both of those today. Thank you so much for having me on the program. It's an honor to be here and just talking Polaroid, talking whatever the heck we want to talk today.
Yeah, dude. We got a couple questions from the old audience, directed towards me, directed towards you, both of us. If you haven't seen the podcast before, we just kind of hang out, we chat for a little bit, talk photography, we get to know you a little bit better. It's not like a strictly like a, hey, Ben, what's your favorite color type of podcast. I have an answer for that. Because, I mean, you have a YouTube channel, I got a YouTube channel. A lot of times you don't get to talk about some of the things that maybe we're passionate about outside of our focus for the channel. So this is a good opportunity to get some of those types of people on here and just have a conversation. But of course, we'll be talking about photography and instant photography.
Yeah, it is. It's like what we like.
Exactly. So for those people that are watching / listening, because this is a video podcast as well, that have been living in the bunker underneath Mall of America for the last 20 years and don't even know what the internet is, and who you are. So who the heck are you anyway?
Okay, so first of all, the internet is like, let's see, it's this connective force between us all. And on it, I have a YouTube channel. YouTube is a website with videos on it that you can like watch for free. And the channel is called In an Instant. My name is Ben Fraternelli. I am, in my normal general life, a photographer and director and filmmaker and just sort of general visual artist, I guess. And the YouTube channel is sort of just an extension of my obsession with analog things, and one of the various ways that I've sort of made the analog photography industry like a part of my career in a way that like I just have always wanted, because it's one of the things I care most about on this planet Earth.
Yeah, it shows. It's clear. Which is a great little segue into, I guess, my first question for you, which is, how did you even get started into instant photography to begin with?
So my mom went to Atlanta College of Art, which no longer exists, was actually absorbed into Savannah College of Art. And she studied photography in college. And my step-grandfather, basically my dad's stepdad, was lead photographer at Milk Studios, which is one of the bigger photography studios in New York City. So I always kind of grew up around photography and like the arts. I mean, most of my family is in the arts in some capacity. And so I grew up around cameras. I grew up around a lot of Polaroid cameras, and it was like a way for my mom to just like give me something to go do. So she would just like give me the camera, give me like one pack of film or something, and then just like go crazy. And I would just take some like horrible pictures. So, but it was a way to like get into it and like be able to do something very hands-on without having any skill or needing any skill to make something. So I kind of fell in love with it for that reason when I was little. And as I grew up and the digital age sort of became the norm, I learned on that stuff like everyone else did, sort of growing up through it. But I think there came a point that a lot of people experience where you are so desensitized to the process of producing something artistic that you like yearn for something more tactile.
Yeah.
And that's where the wave of sort of instant film as an art form came back to me. I'd been using it for years to like just take photos at parties and stuff. But then I realized, okay, this is like a much more interesting canvas for individual artistic works. And so I started channeling everything into that. And so long story short, that's sort of the winding journey to where I am at now.
Yeah. I love it. It's pretty much similar boat for me anyway. I mean, it's part, I shouldn't say it's similar, but it's not the same path, but.
Did your mom go to Atlanta College of Art?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I probably shouldn't say exactly the same because, no, that didn't happen. But similar thought process anyway, just because of your work background and stuff and wanting something a little more tactile. Yeah, totally. So what led you to wanting to start a YouTube channel dedicated to it?
That's a good question. Because I started like formulating the channel in 2019, so at the end of 2019, and it came from just sort of where do I put all this passion, and just like what do I do with this feeling that I have, and usually that means putting it into like a short film or learning how to use something new and just sort of finding a way to be obsessed with it in a way that's like normal and healthy. Instead, I did a YouTube channel just because I was like, I really want to write some of this stuff down. I really would like to record some of these like either opinions or just information that I've learned and interesting things. And so when I started doing the YouTube channel, I was a little bit cautious about it because I felt like being in the video production industry and the photography industry, it was a little bit at the time felt weird to have a YouTube channel. And so I was very cautious. Like I didn't tell anyone what I was doing basically for months. And then I decided one day, I was like, screw it, let's just release one of these things. And that was March 3rd of 2020. And we all know like what happened next. But the fortuitous aspect of the whole shutdown was I really got to like put pedal to the metal, really focus on it. And it literally, I mean, I don't want to say it like saved my life, but it was absolutely one of those like lifeline things during COVID where it kept me from like spiraling. And I really got to like invest in something that I think in retrospect was pretty healthy, which was like a community focused art form. So yeah, I never want to stop because of all the benefits and the love that's come out of it.
Yeah, the people I've met from my channel, it's been awesome. It's been wild.
It's unreal.
Yeah. And it's similar, again, a similar thing with me is that in 2020 is when I made the final decision as well as to start focusing my YouTube channel onto retro stuff in general, even though I was mostly just kind of passionate about instant photography. Because back in 2018, I did some Instax videos, and it was really fun. I was really enjoying it, and I got hundreds of views in comparison to tens of views on the videos. I'm like, well, this is cool, and I'm actually passionate about the content, but also like finding myself and wasn't sure. And then one late night, probably it was like January of 2020, I think it was right before COVID. I was up super late, and I was super sick, and I was up super late. I was like going down rabbit holes of stuff, and I'm like, you know what? I think I'm gonna do it. I think I'm gonna
dive. When the best decisions are made.
Yeah. It was like 2-3 a.m. and I'm like just going down rabbit holes. So I saw research on YouTube and stuff, and then I kind of put a pin in it for a few months. Then of course COVID hit, and then. Again, I was like another crazy night where I was super sick, and I was going down the rabbit hole again. I'm like, okay, I think I'm actually going to do this. I think I'm going to do this. And then I found Noah's YouTube channel. I found Sweet Lou Photography's YouTube channel, and then I came across yours. And I think you had 2 videos on upload at that time. And I'm like, okay, so there are people making stuff about this. Maybe I should jump in on it too, because I'm actually like super passionate about it, and it got me through COVID and stuff. And so I decided, I said, screw it. I think it was that summer. I think I officially made the switch. I think it was like May or June, maybe. And
it's so weird to think back on that time. It's like, at the time it felt like, oh my God, everything's collapsing. And now like we've all survived it. Well, those of us who are still here. And it's just like, you can kind of look back at it now with some positivity. Like, look at what I was able to even do free of the normalcy of every day. And like, some great stuff has come out of it. And like, life has in some ways like improved so much because of what we were forced to do during that time. Not obviously because of it, but sort of the side effects ended up, some of them being like pretty beautiful. I mean, look at us now. It's 2024.
Yeah.
Like that was 4 years ago ish, maybe longer than 4 years ago. And
Yeah.
now we're here on this like podcast. Like it's unbelievable that we're still doing it and we're still loving it. And it's like not slowing down.
No.
Neither of us are like, okay, I'm over that. Like that was a project that I did. Now I'm stopping.
Yeah.
There's the passion keeps going. It keeps fueling it.
Yeah, and more things are popping up. Events such as Policon, where we met in person for the first time, briefly.
That was crazy.
Yeah, we wish we got to hang out more. It was just crazy. It was so much going on. But I want to segue into that. Maybe talk about Policon a little bit because there's one coming up, and I believe you are associated with it. You are part of the hosting. Could you dive into that a little bit?
Yeah, so Policon was formerly for I mean, I'm sure everyone watching this knows what Policon is, but just the quick rundown is that it's founded in Denton, yeah, some people actually don't know. Yeah. It was founded in Denton, Texas about a decade ago, revolving around the Dallas State Fair, which happens every September. And as it grew in popularity and people started traveling to go to it more, the idea started percolating like, well, why isn't this happening anywhere else? Like, yes, Dallas is great. It's in the middle of the country, which is helpful. But some people on the West Coast were like, really would love to do this in the Bay Area. Shout out to, Brian Brooks and the contingent in San Francisco for making that happen. And as SF started to, get a few years under its belt, and we were going to all of them, a bunch of us from New York were traveling to it. We were like, how is this not happening in New York? Like, that just seems like the photography community in New York is like notoriously enormous. I mean, just the density of people, frankly, and like the institutions that exist in the city, whether it's museums or schools or stores like Brooklyn Film Camera, like all this stuff exists and the community is so vibrant. Yeah. And we were just super excited about the idea. Can we do this? And so we went to the IFS people, the Instant Film Society people, and we were like, we really kind of want to do this. And they were like, that sounds interesting, but it's a little bit nerve-wracking because Policon started as this like homespun grassroots thing. And the idea of this like big New York event a little bit contradicted the spirit of it at first. Yeah. And last year we finally sort of got it across the finish line, got everyone to sort of overcome their fears and attempt to do an event that was a little bit larger, that like you kind of had to pay to enter, and so that more vendors can be there and musical acts and stuff like that. And I was thrilled to be a part of it because I love Policon. I love the community so much, and having like a place where the New Yorkers could gather and people coming from all around the world could come to New York and visit. It was just kind of the best thing ever. And so this year we're running it back with a couple of modifications, new locations, like new home bases for the events. And one of them is still Brooklyn Film Camera, but another one is Worthless Studios, which is not worthless at all. It's actually very worthy. Awesome nonprofit arts organization, amazing space. So yeah, I'm happy to be a part of it. I'm a part of it, honestly, at this point in a smaller capacity because I just have a little bit too much going on sometimes to work on like event planning. Yeah. But I still am like very excited to, do a workshop and a photo walk and, do all the things.
Yeah, no. And also so I'm literally just about to announce this. So I haven't said it publicly, but I will be in attendance at New York Policon. And this podcast, I should be having it out before the Policon, so it should be out next week, actually, to be honest.
Oh, great. Okay. Yeah.
So I'm officially going. Any insider information you can give us a little hyped up that you're allowed to talk about for us? Anything?
There's going to be some big guests. Some really notable Polaroid legends are going to be giving workshops and speeches. Like, if you are legit interested in Polaroid, like on a deep level, this is going to be the best opportunity so far of any Policon to like hear notable people from the industry speaking about either their craft or the company. Polaroid themselves are also, we announced this, but are like involved for the first time officially. Like they were last year in the NYC version, but this year they like went much more full court press with it. So Polaroid's going to have some stuff that they're doing, activations and activities that you can do. So Yeah, Policon NYC. I think that would be the main thing to plug, frankly, is you can go to brooklynfilmcamera.com or instantfilmsociety.com, and all the event info will be there. The schedule is being dropped soon. So we will see you there. And if not, well, I'm sure we'll be making content or posting on Instagram or something.
No, if we don't see you there, you're dead to us.
Yeah,
So
you're no longer around anymore.
no, not cool.
As
Not
far
cool
as I'm
enough.
concerned.
I know. Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I haven't been to New York since 2020. I was there peak pandemic.
Whoa.
I was there for a job. I was building a production studio for Century 21 Realty Company. I was actually there 5 times in the span of like 2 months in New Jersey. But I went to New York.
Did you ever go into New York during that time? Like
Yeah,
the
it was.
city?
So yeah, so I'd never been
So
before,
weird.
so I got to experience something very unique in the sense that I'm walking on these 30-foot wide sidewalks and there's nobody
Yeah.
there.
So weird.
I didn't get to make it to Times Square, but I drove through it with an Uber and there was nobody there.
Yeah.
It was a ghost town.
It was like being in like the loading screen of a video game. Like you're like allowed to free roam without any NPCs around.
Yeah.
It was just like the creepiest environment ever. I mean, really shocking. And they said New York would never come back from that. Look at us now, pretty much back.
Who would have thought? Look at us now. Look at us. Who would have thought? Yeah. So I'm excited to go. I'm staying near. I think I'm in Long Island. I think that's where my
Oh,
hotel
okay,
is. I think I can't remember.
that's probably for the best. Lodging in New York has become sort of hellacious.
Along with that, though, I was. I think I seen you went a while ago, but I've been wanting to check out that TWA hotel.
Oh
Really,
my
really
God.
bad. It's been on my
That is one
bucket
of the
list.
coolest things ever
So
literally ever to exist.
I'm hoping when I land, I can just like go there. It's attached to the airport, right? JFK.
Yeah, it's attached to Terminal 5. So if you land in like Terminal 5 arrivals, you can walk across the street and just go in. And that's the best part about it, is that
Yeah.
it's like
Cool.
open
That's
to
what
the
I'm gonna do.
public. They expect people to be roaming around with cameras. So
Awesome.
they
Yeah,
support
that so that's happening. I'm doing that. I've been wanting to do that forever. I have that Retnex film saved for shooting there. It's like the perfect frames to shoot
It
there,
is.
right?
It is. Yeah.
And so I just
That Mog look.
yeah, when Polaroid put that stuff on sale, I went and bought like a bunch more, and I'm like, one day I'm gonna get to TWA.
Yeah.
Hopefully, this stuff isn't too far gone, and expired, and it'll work. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do is go there and moment I get off the plane. But yeah, I'm excited.
Use
Check out
all
New
your
York.
film before Polygon starts. That is the way to do it.
So yeah, I'm excited for Policon. Excited to hang out with everybody that is going. If you're not going, why aren't you going? You should go.
Yeah, that's the question.
I'm trying to get some. I'm trying to smooze a couple other my YouTube friends to go,
Nice.
like Lou. I was talking
Yeah.
to Noah. He's like maybe,
Oh,
and
that
then
would be sick.
my friend Dave. I don't know if you know who Nop Top is, but he's considering maybe. But he lives in Ohio, so he's like, I'll drive.
Not
I'm like,
that
that's
far. Ohio's really not that far. Like, it can be done. It's like an 8-hour drive.
yeah,
Not that bad.
yeah,
Your eyes
But-
closed.
yeah. So going back to a little bit of your background outside of instant photography, you do some stuff like on larger productions. It seems like what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, my like I would say my day job, quote unquote, although it's become a lot more intermixed with like the Polaroid stuff and the analog stuff as a career, but would be I would say directing, like commercial directing and post production. So like I'm typically hired by like agencies to work with clients. Like for example, last year we did this like Delta Airlines program that was
Oh, that's
so
cool.
fun. I've been doing it every year for the last 3 years. And
Get
we
them
basically like
discounts.
follow. Yeah, well, you'd think we won't get into that, but
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
no discounts. Unfortunately, no discounts. But
Yeah, dang.
like that was like hired as a director and an editor, so that I could like see the project all the way through its fruition. It was like a 4-month job, like. So I'm hired for that like several times a year for those kind of like larger shoot projects, and then peppered throughout, I have either smaller shoots that are like a day or two, and a lot of edits. So that kind of fills my week to week. And with any free time I have, I do like in an instant stuff or many of the other side projects. Even just keeping up on social media is like
Yeah.
something I have to my free time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that all sort of combines together to form a career, I guess you would say. And the other extension of that sort of happened this year was I had a photo studio in my hometown of Irvington, New York, which is just north of the city. And the lease was ending. We weren't really sure what to do. Maybe going to find like a collaborator or something to be there together. And eventually, my wife Lauren and I were like, why don't we just try to open a proper studio that's like on a street level, and we can like share the love of this analog stuff with the river towns, which is the towns north of New York City.
Mhm.
And because there's a lot of people here who love this stuff, and who are, even if they don't love it, they love doing something artistic, doing something that like activates that part of your brain. And we learned that by doing some photo booth pop-ups at various businesses around here, and we decided, let's just do it. So we opened a analog photo studio, so it's like basically a large format portrait studio
That's
in
awesome.
Dobbs Ferry. And so that's become sort of the place we're here right now, in this place right now.
Oh,
Place where I
nice.
do a lot of post-production, production. Anytime I need to film anything for like social media, I would obviously do it in here as well. But we do a lot of portrait sessions and events, and we can even like screen movies here. I mean,
Oh, cool.
so it's become very much an extension of my working life, which I love, because
Yeah.
some people are worried that when you do stuff like this professionally, it can like sap away some of the passion.
Yeah.
And I can totally see that happening because I have been in those situations before. But thankfully, that has not occurred yet. And it's been, like, as you know, when you're doing something for years, like YouTube, that is the ultimate equation for making you hate it.
Yeah.
Because like being like in a post-production mode and having to edit like 50 videos, you're not even like seeing the sun.
Yeah.
Like you're no longer doing the thing that like you really did care about.
Yeah.
But thankfully, all the phases of this analog and production life have found a happy medium, I feel. So we are chilling out here.
Nice. That's awesome. It's great to hear, though. You got your studio. I had a studio, and unfortunately, had to close it last year.
What happened?
I was a perfect storm. I'll tell you, one of those types of things. My lease was renewing.
Okay.
This was April 1st. Not even April Fool's joke, but it was an April
Okay, it wasn't a
Fool's
joke.
Day.
Okay.
April Fool's was the renewal date, and so anyway, I went on vacation, just an actual, just straight up vacation, not like, cause usually my vacations are like still work related, like going to
Yeah.
Polycon. It's a vacation, but I'm working, but
Yeah.
I enjoy it, so it's fine. But I just went straight up to a vacation. I went to Disneyland, flew down to California. I was Disneyland, had a great time. It was awesome. Spent a week there. I got back. Then it was like 2 days before the first. I was getting ready to sign, and then I had like 10 clients. All of them in the span of 24 hours were like, "Hey, don't need you anymore."
Oh,
Yeah, I'm like, because I was like I was a video shooter editor for different people across the
yeah.
country or whatever. Like every single person was like, "Let me go." I'm like, "What?" They're like, "Yeah, restructuring things, blah 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 blah." One of them I've been with for like 8 years, and they're like, "Yeah, we don't need you no more." And I'm like, so I literally had to make a decision in like 2 days to do I just start from scratch or just play it safe and
Yeah.
get out of here? I'm like, shoot, I guess I gotta close my studio.
Put a punch in the butt.
Yeah, so I moved it all back to my house. I've been operating
Oh
out
my
of here ever
god.
since.
Yeah.
Um,
It was
yeah,
hard to fill your stuff in your house.
yeah, yeah.
Stuff is a really dangerous thing in this world.
It is. It is. I've lived
End
here
up
for
getting
like,
a lot of stuff.
I know, and I've lived here for like 12 years, so it's like I've accumulated a lot of junk. I was
Yeah.
thinking that yesterday. I'm like, I just need to get rid of some of this stuff. So much, but yeah. So that's the short version. I don't think I've actually said that publicly. I can't remember,
There we go.
but
It's a tell all this episode.
it is. So the what's it called? The what are those called? The memoirs, whatever. The tell all
Memoirs
the
of a
memoir.
Geisha.
I don't know, but that's cool that you got to your space. That's awesome. Where's it at, or is that
So
not?
it's in Dobbs Ferry. It's on
Oh,
a
okay.
street that is like really awesome, actually. Like we have a coffee shop next door that does like trivia and also has beer. We got a bar across the street, Double Days. There's just like a nice little like area around us that has cool stuff happening, and it's a small town, and like it's a small town vibe here. But
Yeah.
you get people coming in from the city. Like the train from Grand Central is literally down the street. So
Oh,
we,
cool.
we get a mix of people who are coming up from Brooklyn, kind of want to do like a day trip and like enjoy trees or air for a day. And we can offer that plus 8x10 film or whatever.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. Do you have like hours of operation, or is it just like a by appointment, or
I'd say
how's
it's
it work?
by appointment right now. We kind of do want to open it up to have a little bit more of a retail side, not full retail, but more like print selling or raw materials, like maybe selling some film and
Mm,
like kits, like make your own like cyanotype kits or something
yeah.
that's like artistic, not highly commercial, but something to just get someone through the door. And
Yeah.
so for right now, every day I'm here. Lauren's usually here, and we got the door open, and Fern, my corgi's in the door, being our best advertising, and she's becoming a tax write-off.
Yeah.
And so
That's how you
that's
do
kind of
it.
like our daily schedule now. But eventually, we're going to have more regular hours.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to own a retail store.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. And man, it's a grind if you have open
it
hours,
is.
man. It's it can drain you real fast.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah,
fun. It's rewarding in its own sense. But
it
uh,
is. And
yeah.
Brooklyn Film Camera taught me a lot about that and just like what that is like. And I took a lot of that experience into this, even though it's a different business.
Mm,
It's not the same type of business at all. Like just learning how to like build out a space and like manage its existence day to day and like all the sort of various legal things you have to do that you would never
it's
think about.
weird
It piles
stuff,
up.
man. But that's awesome to hear. If I'm ever in the area, I'll have to check that out.
Yes, please do. We would love you to visit. It's nice to have a place for people to visit too. That's not just like
Yeah.
our living arrangement. Like we have a place where people can come, and a
Hmm.
lot of people who have been like visiting New York over the last 6 months have been like, "Hey, I would love to stop by," and it's awesome to like do an 8x10 with them or whatever, and
Yeah.
just like have a little moment with them that's unique. And
Hmm.
we love having people over. So if you happen to have any time, it sounds like you maybe don't, but on a next New York trip, we love to have you here.
Yeah. Yeah. Who knows? I get around. But I haven't been out
Yeah,
that
you live
way.
around us.
I do get around. But I haven't been out that way in a while. So you never know. Do you struggle with finding a way to display your instant photography photos, such as Polaroid or Instax? Well, today's podcast sponsor has heard your cries and has you covered. That's right. A Little Home has a great lineup of acrylic, high quality frames for Instax Mini, Square, Wide, and Polaroid Go. All fronts, they have you covered. Quite the variety to choose from, too. These things are absolutely incredible. I genuinely love their products. Any longtime listener or subscriber of my YouTube channel knows I don't just put anyone in front of my audience. I'm very careful about that. And this company is fantastic. Best part is they're offering you a 20% off your entire order. Yes. Just use promo code 20justchris at checkout and you'll get yourself 20% off. And even better, they're on Amazon. Yeah, so if you're a Prime member, you get free shipping. Oh, and if you're having trouble finding where to put the code, so when you're at checkout, just click on your payment information and it'll pop up a window for you to be able to insert the code. Links can be found in the description to their products, and be sure to use that promo code and save yourself 20% off your entire purchase. 20 just Chris. Now, back to your regular scheduled programming. I'll give you another exclusive
Okay.
thing. It's more of a preliminary thing, but I was talking with Brian about something. Actually, he came up to me at Policon in San Francisco. He came up to me because somebody was telling, like one of my friends that I brought was telling him about something I was trying to do is get my own event going. I've been trying to do my own for a couple of years at my studio space because I actually had a giant space people could come
Right.
to, and but then that fell through when I had to close last year. So I've been still like trying to get one going, and he was all for like, hey, if you got one, we'll see what we can do. But it didn't sound like it was in association with Policon. I don't know, but either way, I'm trying to get one going over here, and I found the perfect spot. And I have a video series coming out in a couple of weeks, and I actually kind of walk around that area and show it off a little bit, and just kind of like tease it a little bit. But it's going to be in Portland. And there's the cool part is I haven't quite asked them directly yet, but I briefly mentioned it, and they were like, "Oh, that sounds pretty cool." But the Blue Moon Camera, I don't know if you've heard of them, but they are just in my neck of the woods, and I'm going to team up with them potentially.
They're the best. They're the goats.
Yeah, they have some film of mine right now being developed. But it's a super cool area, man. Right across the street is this
Yeah.
most epic pizza place in the world. One, because the food's good, but the building is a 1930s gas station that's been repurposed into a pizza place, and it has like the wickedest neon. Like it is
Yeah.
absolutely insane. And y'all know, us our hipsters, we love our neon.
We do.
So,
We do. The
yeah,
buzzing. It's the buzzing for us.
exactly. Yeah, and then next door to the film store, there's this retro motorcycle like shop, and
Yeah.
then they own a coffee shop right next door, and there's like vintage motorcycles inside, and
Yeah. So cool.
there's
That
a
area is so
yeah, the famous one of the famous bridges over here is the St. John's Bridge, and it's on that same street. And so it's awesome. So found the spot. I just got to make it happen. I'm hoping to make it happen this year. Probably not September, maybe. I don't know. I don't want to do it around the same time as Policon though, because I'm not trying to like
yeah,
cause
it's
any
getting
problems.
tough because the Policons are getting like denser. Like
Yeah,
you go from September and then it's like okay March and then May, then the summer is kind of the only time that's like doesn't really have anything, but
yeah,
it's tough. We'll
yeah,
see, but I'm sure
yeah,
you'll find a good spot for it.
yeah. It's only gonna probably be like a 1 day thing to start out.
Yeah,
Free event, just come out. I'll probably find some sponsors, give away some stuff, just for
yeah, that'd be awesome.
just a chill day. Think about calling it Instacon if it's
Ooh.
not.
Wait, someone just did that very similarly to what we're talking about.
Son of a
Do you know what I'm
gun.
talking about? There's like someone in who's
No.
like in Cincinnati or something that's
Damn.
having a I think they called it Policon or something.
Oh,
And
no. There was one.
realized yeah, and they
There
had to
was
rename it. They named it
interesting.
Instant Con or something.
Dang it. They stole my name.
Well, they named it Instant Con, I believe, not
Oh,
Instacon.
I was going to call it Instacon. 'Cause it
I
sounds like
think.
it sounds like a Decepticon.
Yeah.
I was going to like make
Actually,
it.
I don't know now. Maybe it was called because the Mint RF Instant Con. That's the camera.
Mm,
InstaCon could imply Instagram convention,
it could.
but I don't know. There's a lot to discuss there.
Working title.
There's a workshop. It's a workshop. It's a workshopping it.
Yeah. But anyway,
Even
there's a.
drop ideas in the comments. We'd love to hear some suggestions.
Yeah. That would be awesome. But yeah, I've been wanting to do it forever, and there's nothing out here. And you'd think
Yeah.
Portland would have something, but they don't.
Right. Yeah.
So I think I'm going to have to saddle that one up and ride that
Yeah.
into battle.
That's awesome.
And make it happen. It would be cool to do it as a Policon now and partner up with them.
Yeah, that would be
That would be much better. But either way, maybe I just got to get
Yeah.
something going. There needs to happen.
For
Because it's funny. I ran into a couple people at Policon that were from Portland, and they're like, "Yeah, we're from Portland. There's nothing there." I'm like, "Oh, well, I'll fix that."
Yeah. Portland's community is big, and then like Seattle has a huge
Mm,
Polaroid and film community,
yeah,
like really impressively large. Like I've been to a several film events in Seattle where I was like, this kind of rivals the like amount of people that would show up to an event in SF or even New York. So like
yeah.
that area is obviously has a lot of people interested in this. So that's a great move because they need to congregate in various ways.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. All right, let's move into some audience questions if
Nice.
you're up for it.
I think I'm up for it.
All right. Well, since this is on topic of what we just talked about, I'll throw it
Yeah.
out there, even though you probably don't have an answer. But it's a great thing because this is another location that I thought there should be an event. Any chance of a polo walk in Los Angeles? You'd think there'd be one there.
I can say that hasn't been discussed around me. I would say the most discussed other option potentially, and this is like complete conjecture, not verifiable information, would be maybe Boston because it was like the home of Polaroid, and
Yeah.
there's not unfortunately not a lot to see in like the Cambridge area that actually still has any Polaroid identifiable things on it. But their original offices, their headquarters were there. There's still a community of people who worked at Polaroid that live in that area. Like a lot of retirees live in the Boston area. So
Yeah.
LA to me is a no-brainer, and I think the LA community needs a lot of that to
Yeah.
happen because I know a lot of people in the community there, and there aren't as enough events, considering how many people shoot film out there. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, there's plenty of alternative events, even if not a PoloCon, but
Yeah.
I think eventually it makes sense.
Yeah. There's so much there. You'd think.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, and that was the Film Days asked that question. So
Okay.
shout out to you. Forgot to say your name.
Every day is the film day here on Just Another
Exactly.
Chris.
Pretty much. Matt Smallman said or asks a little bit of both. How does Ben have so much pack film all the time? Did he steal the Fuji machine scraps?
This is a very interesting question. I'm happy to answer this because I think a lot of people that like shoot pack film and like post reels of pack film, for example,
Yeah.
because that's where this question really comes from. It's the fact that you're like posting it online, and obviously, like you feel when you're shooting pack film at this point, oh my god, what a precious resource.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I try to record every time I peel one open because it's so special.
Yeah. Same.
And so if you have one pack, let's say, and you record all 10 shots you peeled, that's like 10 weeks of posts. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it ends up looking like you have a lot more than you do, I guess, is my answer to this.
Yeah.
And luckily, a lot of the stuff that I have, I didn't buy like at crazy prices or anything. I don't buy pack film really unless like someone DMs me or something and is like, I got this deal for you. So you end up, I think, Chris, I'm sure you can agree with me on this. The more friends you make in the world of analog photography, the more chances you have of like acquiring unusual things that you would really like. Yeah. So that's how I've acquired some of what I've acquired lately. And then a lot of it is honestly just from years ago. Like I just am still holding on to it. So peels on reels can be deceptive, but know that we are cherishing every frame.
No, I can totally relate to that, especially that last statement you just said about the more people you meet and the chance of things coming across. Because at PolaCon Bay Area, I was walking around with the Goose, and I can't remember his name. I think his name is Daniel. They call the people were referring to him as like Santa of Polaroid or whatever. Yeah, and he's like, oh hey, look, you have a pack film. He just reaches into his bag and just hands me a box of 669, the ID film sealed. Unreal, right? I'm like, what? And then just walks away. So cool. I'm like, who is this guy? And so I know exactly what you mean though about some of that stuff. And in honor of him, I'm doing a actually not even just him. Someone sent a box of 669 to my PO box. Awesome. And so I was making a Goose video and I was turning that into what's called Goose Week, like Shark Week.
Oh wow.
And so I have, right. And so I have, I think 4 episodes coming out in like, hopefully in a couple weeks, a limited edition t-shirt. I have a guy working on a fun design, and everything. And this is pretty much in honor of the people who have just been so generous. And I'm giving away the photos too, a lot of them. And so, yeah, pack film, man, it can be deceptive sometimes.
And shout out to the Goose.
Shout out to the Goose. Now here's a funny one from Tom Maters. I see what you did there.
Okay.
Is mayonnaise an instrument? Now, I'm pretty sure he's asked this one before to like somebody.
I have heard of this. It can be an instrument if you squeeze it hard enough.
Yeah. Slap it.
I mean, that's the way this sound that you could get out of a mayonnaise bottle. That's very acoustic and interesting.
Yeah.
I think it could be an instrument. Yes.
I think it's used for VO or Foley for like Walking Dead or something.
Very common Foley bottle.
Exactly that. And like, was it lettuce? Like crunching lettuce.
Oh yeah.
KP29-4. Sounds like a planet. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Found by the Kepler.
He's asking, what is Ben's favorite normal film camera and favorite instant camera?
Normal. Okay, so normal being like
35, 120 or whatever.
Yeah, right. I would say that my favorite is the Hasselblad 500 CM. Like, as much as you end up trying a lot of things because, like we were saying, like you end up being around people, you try a lot of stuff. Even something like the RB67, which is another like favorite of mine.
Yeah,
I always end up deferring to the Hassie. Like, if I've created a photo with that camera, I look back on it and it just has this feeling that I associate with myself. Like, I feel like I'm being represented in some way by whatever the optical moment is that's occurring every time I snap the shutter. So that it would be my favorite normal film camera, and then my favorite Polaroid camera. That was the other half of the question. Or favorite instant camera.
Instant
Right?
camera, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would say either the Polaroid i2 or the SX70. The current debate that I'm having between those two cameras is, as time has pressed on, and now that we're in like year 2 of the i2 in use,
Right.
this camera's a little larger. Like, do I want to pack this, or do I
Yeah.
want to pack down the flat SX70? Do I want to be in a position where I'm even thinking about my exposure settings? Maybe I would bring the SX70. The biggest reason the SX70 right now would be in my bag is because it's much easier to use with filters.
Yeah.
And so if I want to use a fisheye lens or something, I have a fisheye lens for the i2, but when you look through the viewfinder, you can't see what you're shooting. So
Right.
I'd say right now it's still a tie, I would say, between the i2 and the SX70. Hopefully
Gotcha.
one of them edges it out over time, but you can have both. Thankfully,
Yeah.
we're in a world that exists and no one persecutes you for that.
Yeah. Exactly.
America.
This next question kind of is fits along with this, so I'm going to ask it.
Okay.
The Chop Parker asks, "What Hasselblad 500 instant film back do you recommend?"
That's a great question. I've only used, to be fair, one of them, but it's so good. The Nons instant back, which I only have one episode recorded right now. Like, I don't have a lot planned in the future right now, but that's one that I filmed because I'm like so passionate about it. It is really an amazing little back. It takes the Hasselblad and lets you use, Instax Square on it in a way that is nicely engineered. It's not like a hacked,
Yeah.
Instax Square camera or something that's been molded onto it. It's like an original production, which I think is really cool. I would say that's the best one. You do get a little black border on every picture, which is not everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah.
There are more expensive ones, I think, from like Pola Studio that don't have a border on them. And then after that, your only other option is like Instax Mini. The Hasselblad doesn't have a huge image coverage, so I would say the Non's back just for its build quality. Although the Pola Studio one, I'm sure is good too. It's just a lot more expensive. It's like $800.
Yeah, all their stuff is expensive.
Yeah.
Good stuff though. I have their
Yeah.
I did a collab with him where I was like taking all like 3 different people, like it's a polo dress and I did some repair stuff with Dennis from Chromatic Parts, and so just like kind of like all of them in one video, just let people know like, hey, look at these people, you might not know about them.
That's cool.
And he actually sent me a housing for my SX70.
Oh, really?
That's where that housing came from.
That's
They're expensive, but they are high quality.
And he's offering them in colors you could never have gotten before, which is, that's a legit service. Like, he's making parts. He offers like a screwdriver for the SX70. Like, that's stuff that is actually very useful to have out there.
Yeah. I'm glad he exists. Speaking of expensive and money, I don't know if I even want to know the answer to this to the question directed towards me. But maybe you want to know. I don't know. Raynard says, "How much money have you spent on your cameras?"
That's the question you can never ask. Exactly. You can never ask yourself that question. You can never look at your collection and think about that. But yeah, I think honestly, I don't know the answer. And I once had a kid came to the studio and was like, "How many cameras are in here?" And I was like, I honestly don't know, and I don't really want to know. But if you want to spend the next 20 minutes counting, go off. Yeah. And he came back and said there were like 130 cameras. So that's a lot. Even if it's like $10 a camera, that's a lot. So
yeah. Well, that Hasselblad.
Well, a lot of them were given for free. Back to the thing we were talking about earlier. Like, you end up sort of collecting things from family members and friends. And
true.
But it's a lot of money. I don't even think about that.
This is a great question. Lens and Lead asks, "Do you remember the first Polaroid you took, and what camera did you use?"
I do, because I have it still, or at least the one that I can remember the most that I took was of my mom at my old house, like when we first moved from the city, and we she would give me the camera to bring to school and stuff. So maybe I did that before this, but I just remember taking her portrait when I was 6 years old in our new house and writing mom on it, and my handwriting's so bad, and the fact that I have that still physically is so weird. It's uh, feeling an image like a Polaroid from that time in your life
Mm-hmm.
is like unlike anything else because it's literally like transportive. It existed in that moment that you created as like a little child, and now
Yeah.
you're holding it as an adult, and your hands touched it back then. It's like the original. So it's a great question because if you can remember that, it's
Yeah.
like there's a real magic to that. Do you have a memory that like is of your first?
I not like so growing up we didn't really get to didn't use instant cameras. I always wanted one, but I
Yeah.
remember one of the first like times I saw it like so it was someone took a picture of me and I got to keep the photo. It was at some school event. I still have it. It was like at one of our middle school socials, not the dances. You couldn't
That's
call them that.
awesome.
And it's just of me and like a friend I had back then. It was like our yeah, I don't remember what it was, but I remember like this is the coolest thing. I want to get a Polaroid camera. My parents were like, oh, no, it's too expensive. Blah blah blah. You can't have that. It was 3 kids, and
Yeah,
I get it. It's a consumable, but
it is. It is, and it goes fast.
yeah. But like years later, flash forward, I eventually got one, obviously, but I didn't really start shooting even Polaroid at all, like ever until like probably 2019 or 2020.
Yeah, the bite
And
occurred.
yeah, I shot Instax for a bit, but I
Yeah,
didn't get into Polaroid. But yeah, that's all I got.
yeah. I feel like Instax had a moment. Well, it's still having a moment. Obviously, it's the most
Yeah,
popular form, but
it is.
from like 2011 ish until like recently, that was that. I also was shooting Instax Mini like in 20 like when I was in college,
Hmm.
but then life finds a way of making you spend more money on Polaroid film. I don't know how they do it, but
I keep going back to it. Yeah, like I just there's just something about it. I'm like it's so
yeah,
expensive, and there's so many things you have to do. You can't keep it in your hot car. You can't blah blah blah.
yeah,
All these things,
and
but
yet,
like
and yet,
I go right back to it every time.
yeah,
It's my favorite.
yeah,
With Instax, you don't have to worry about nothing. It just works.
right. But there's something like something about that makes it less desirable, which is
True.
so stupid.
Yeah, it is. It is. Because I'm like, as I'm going to PoloCon in New York, I'm like, all right, how do I get it there? I got to watch the
Yeah,
X-rays and
right,
blah blah
right,
blah
right.
blah
What
blah. Even though I've kind of proven that at least so far in my tests, I haven't had any problems with X-ray.
Yeah,
But
I've had a couple of bad issues with X-rays actually. Instax has typically been okay. The worst I've experienced is like some color shifting, which is kind of interesting. Honestly, kind of cool with Instax. Like I buzzed on purpose a pack coming to PoloCon SF, and it was all green tinted when I shot it, and I thought it was so sick. Like it's
interesting.
hard to get Instax to look different
Yeah.
because, like we were saying, it's such a stable product that it was nice. I mean, New York's got those like buzzy ones that are like
Interesting.
that are extremely strong, like 10 times stronger than the
Yeah.
typical. So like it depends on the scanner, I think, but
Yeah.
usually the effects are cool. I would say like if anything bad happens in an X-ray, it's usually
Yeah.
kind of a nice thing.
Because I put film Polaroid and Instax in my check bag for a test, just under the
Oh my
plane.
god, the ultimate buzz!
Mm-hmm. Polaroid got absolutely destroyed.
Really?
Yeah, it's awful. It was all yeah, but
Oh,
Instax came out perfect.
yeah, I've put Instax in checks before and had zero any. It's so crazy. I have no
Yeah,
idea how. Considering it's like 800 speed and everything, it makes no
yeah,
sense.
makes no sense at all. Here we go. A couple more questions here. Aviv, retrograde engineer.
Hey, I love
Uh,
Aviv so much.
oh,
Man.
he's the best. I love him, man.
Yes.
What is the strangest camera you've ever used?
Oh my God. Wow, that is a really good question. Well, I have a camera that's really, really weird.
Mm,
That is a passport camera that shot Packfilm, and I would say that that's among the weirdest because it requires a key to start it, like a car ignition, and it
it's got like
has
a
like a.
ripcord.
It does. It's like unbelievably insane. It's got like a light that you're supposed to like point at someone between their eyes, which is like very threatening.
Damn.
And then it has like little human icon on the back that like lights up or turns off when you've taken the picture. So like that's like the bizarro world kind of camera that like almost has no practical use anymore.
Yeah.
This one's pretty weird. Actually, it just happens to be on this table. This is like a modification. It's not like an original
Oh yeah,
thing made, but these are like the Dine or Dine. I think it's Dine. These are close-up cameras that were made for like medical use, and they're
yeah,
modified like Sun 600s or something like that. And basically, like a flash
yeah. Wow.
housing modification is supposed to make the power stronger straight down because basically you use these bars
Yeah.
to take the photo. So like that photo would be there. It's so this is probably one of the weirdest. And
That's
I'm
pretty
having a blast
cool.
with it, yeah. And the lenses, like it has multiple lenses and they come off like that. Like you just
That's
slide them in. Like it's so
wild.
strange.
That's wild.
So the weirdest Polaroid cameras I feel like are the medical ones. Like
Yeah.
the Macro 5 is super
Yeah. I got one of
bizarre.
those up there
Yeah,
on my
so
shelf.
cool. There's like stethoscopic Polaroid cameras. There's Polaroid cameras that were supposed to like be inserted into your butt. Like
That's
not even
awesome.
so it's like kind of cool. Like we should do that. We should do a crossover episode.
It's just pictures of our buttholes, man. The inside.
Our colons.
No,
We should do a
oops,
colon episode.
you might actually want to go get this looked at for real.
Yeah.
You might have
They
something in
discovered
there.
something really bad. I like that.
That'd be hilarious.
Thumbnail.
Yeah, yeah. Just be bent over. That'd be
We have 1 month to live.
1 month. That'd be hilarious. That'd get the clicks. That would get the
That would
clicks.
get a lot of clicks.
Oh my gosh, that's too funny. I think so. For me though, I know this necessarily wasn't directed towards me, but I have a kind of a weird camera. It's called the Pix Toss.
Oh, the like Instax one.
Yes, the Instax mini camera. It's so strange. You don't need batteries, but you need batteries to use the flash. But it's hand crank. It's so strange. It's
cool.
huge, chungus, and it's made by Tomy Takara, the toy manufacturer.
That's very strange. Yeah.
It is a strange camera. It's cool. I did a video on it last year, but that's probably one of my strangest cameras now, and it's super weird. Yeah, this is a good one because I think this needs to get more love. And that is the Polaroid Go.
Okay.
The Indie Cucino says with yeah, I'm terrible with reading names. That's like a
I am also bad with
shtick
that.
here.
Yep.
But I still want to give credit, and I'll try. So with Go blue frames, you think there will be any more frames later down the road?
That's
take it as
a
a good
great
sign.
question. It's a really good question. I do think it's a good sign. I was surprised to see them. I like really wasn't expecting a special edition Polaroid Go frame anytime soon. Like they had the black frames, which were like cool, I guess. I mean, it's kind of interesting, but the baby blues are like so much more fun, and they're a lot more in the realm of like what Instax or Fujifilm does, where they come out with a billion different varieties of Instax Mini because there's so many special interests. Like you could buy Disney frames, you could buy, Incredibles, like just any random thing that a kid or a person would love. They have something for that. I don't think the Go will go that far, so to speak. But I think that this definitely opens the door for a lot more like special frames. The thing I would like to see is black and white Go film. I think that would be kind of the best. I had this like weird epiphany the other day. I was looking at the packaging and it says color Go film on it. Like the implication is there will be a version of that packaging that says black and white on it at some point. And I just feel like that would be the most fun way to use the Go because as we all know, the Go is never going to produce like optimal optical results. Like it's not meant for that. As much as Instax Mini and Instax cameras impressively do produce very sharp results. And because it's that sort of casual use slice of life camera, at least for me, I think black and white is just the perfect emulsion for it. And the fact that Polaroid's black and white emulsion is so good, I feel like it could also offset a little bit of the softness that you get from Go film because the black and white film is so clear that I think it would be great. I don't know. Maybe there's just not a big enough market for it. But that's my vote. I don't know what you think. What do you think about that?
Oh, I think it's great. I think that Polaroid is missing massive opportunities utilizing the Go format and cameras and things like that. Because on the road, actually right here, because I spent all day skating these yesterday. On the road, because I drove down to Policon in San Francisco, and did a Polaroid Go like behind the scenes travel, like just random stuff like we saw on the road. Me doing my Jeff Goldblum pose. I'm trying to do that like in random places. I'm just like, that just happened to be the one on top. That's kind of funny. But so I think it's great. People need to, I feel like Polaroid need to be utilizing it more. But what I would love to see, and I've said this a couple of times a lot over the last couple of years, but like a folding version of it that can fit into your pocket, because then it would go everywhere. Right. And I think it could be done. Not like a SX70 style, like look through the lens, none of that junk. Would be cool, but that's too expensive. That'll never happen. But like even if it was like a miniaturized like style of an SX70, but you still just didn't look through the lens, kind of like a Model 3 to shrink down the Model 3. Yeah. Or something like that. That can at least fold down, because the Go is small, but it's still pretty chunky. You can't really just stick it in your pocket.
Yeah, I do put it in my pocket, but there's the bulge is super obvious. It's
yeah. But I just think that that would be awesome, or make it some type of novelty where people maybe want to collect the cameras, do like miniature Sun 660 cameras, or maybe bring back like some of like the Barbie camera, right, or something like that. Just like folds down, just so like cool. Something like fun like that. And I think people would definitely be buying them more and shooting them with them more. But I think the Go is being underutilized in the current state. So seeing finally like, hey, here's some new frames.
Definitely. And even the blue color was like, oh, I'm glad to see. Even Gen 2, frankly, was like, okay, good, you're iterating on this product. Like, it had been 3.5 years. That's a pretty long time for the camera not to be updated. And so I really do think the Gen 2 version is better. And the lens is better. So I think they're moving in the right direction. But that's a good point. Like, it would be fun to make miniature versions of other styles of things. Yeah. Because they probably can. I mean, I know the Go is like an engineering marvel to even fit everything how they did, but it would be really cool to have like this, but a Go. Like, that would be so fun. Right?
Yeah, something like that. Or at the very least, like, these blue frames are super cool. Why don't they just have like the multicolor lenses or frames? That makes so much more sense to be in that format, because it's such a cute
film type. People want cute stuff to go with it. That'd be great.
Yeah, I need to pick up the new Gen 2. I want to get that blue camera. That one's actually pretty cool. So I need to do that. And nice. And my Go was kind of doing some weird stuff on the road trip, not like fully ejecting. I had to like pull out like halfway through the photos. So
I don't love that.
Yeah, I need to upgrade mine pretty soon. Yeah. But yeah, so Go. Come on, Polaroid. Let's see some more Go stuff. Let's get on
it up.
maybe they'll see this and be like, all right, let's do this.
Yeah, all right, we'll do it. Black and white frames, we got you.
Oh yeah. Well, it's been fun. Before we wrap up, as I smash my microphone, sorry, listeners. Before we wrap up, is anything else you would like to mention, talk about, go over, hype up, promote? What you got?
That's a good question. Wow, it's like the end of Hot Ones, where they're like, there's a camera there, there's a camera there, there's a camera there. Well, I guess out of just pure like fun interest, if you're interested in checking out like what the photo studio that we just opened is, we have a website, analogonhudson.com, and we started a Instagram for it. It's like kind of young, so it doesn't have that many followers, so it's probably worth also hyping that, which is at @analogonhudson on Instagram. Analog spelled the Americanized way. Anal OG. Oh god, that's terrible. But I did say that, so we should probably leave it.
Hey, that's cool. That's how Noah wanted it to be said too. Analog resurgence.
Yeah, analog resurgence. It's just part of it. It's just something you got to embrace with the word analog. We could have spelled it with the OGUE, but what's the fun in that? And then my personal Instagram is the.instantgram. So check it out. I got a YouTube channel in an instant, which I will have videos coming out right now. There's not like a bunch planned, but there will be more.
Nice. Yeah, all the links will be in the description. And hey, can't wait to see you next month. Yes. Actually, it's like in a couple weeks, pretty much, at PolaCon New York. Thank you so much for coming on. It was truly an honor. Maybe we'll have to collaborate on something in the future.
Yes. Dude, thank you for having me on. Really an honor, and I really appreciate it. And it's lovely to see your face in this little box.
Honor and a privilege, as Tom Cruise would say.
Outside of the box.
Yeah, outside of the box. Exactly. All right, go follow Ben, everybody. whew, man, what a great conversation with Ben. Definitely gonna be working with him more in the future. Maybe have him on as a live guest for a live stream. Never know. That'd be pretty fun. We'd love to know your thoughts. But we will definitely be hanging out while I'm at Poon New York City. Still working on that. Couldn't help myself. Really excited. If you're going to Poon New York City, come find me. Let's hang out. Let's chat. Let's take some photos. It's going to be a grand old time. Be sure to leave some comments down below as to who you would like to see next on Just Another Podcast. Until next time, I'll see you in the next one. Now, get out there. Make some art.